could make 1,000 horsepower plus with a Ram 1500. This is what you got to do. What's up, y'all? Good afternoon. Happy Monday. It's the first day of the week. Hopefully you guys are having a wonderful day today. I'm going to be sharing with you guys the best way I personally think you could achieve 1,000 plus horsepower with a Ram 1500. Obviously, it's not going to be cheap to be able to make that much power, but I'm going to show you guys the exact steps I'm going to take, that I will take myself if I really want to make 1,000 to the wheel with my Ram 1500. Obviously, you got to understand, it pays to make power like this. You have to have capital. You got to have funds. This is not just real like bolt-on stuff. This is some real. You got to do a whole lot to be able to get to that. Well, I wouldn't say a whole lot, but it takes money and it takes time to be able to get to this kind of power. But it really is not as complicated as you think. So it's a simple factor on how, I wouldn't say simple, but I would say it doesn't require much. There's three main things though that you need to be able to do that. But yeah, appreciate the support on the channel. If you have subscribed to the channel, I definitely appreciate that. If you haven't already, what are you waiting for? Help support your boy, man. Hit that subscribe button, support the channel. So first thing first, this is not gonna be on your 5.7 Hemi Ram, 5.7 Hemi engine. Yes, it is possible for you to be able to do that on a 5.7 Hemi engine, but it does require a whole lot more. I think it would cost you way more money if you were to do like maybe the 5.7, I'll say the 5.7 Hemi engine and try to make 1,000 wheels with it. I just think that it wouldn't be worth it to me, because I just personally think the best way you can go about doing this is you have to upgrade from a 5.7 to a 6.4 block. That would be the first thing. The block itself, the 6.4 block, is what you would need to be able to achieve 1,000 to the wheels horsepower. So you can get the block first. That would be the first thing I would say you got to do. And then once you have the block itself, because compared to a 5.7 block and a 6.4, a 5.7, you're gonna need like a whole bunch of stuff to be able to really make 1,000 to the wheels. But a 6.4 engine block, whatever, is really gonna be like you do a few things. The biggest thing is doing a swap. Once you do the swap, all it takes is for you to do a few things. Obviously it's not gonna be cheap, but it's a few things. Upgraded heads, injectors, camshaft, all that stuff really is pretty much could get you there. Like, it wouldn't really require much. Now, when I mean a 6.4 Hemi block, I would say you got to get yourself. If I'm gonna be doing something like this, just so you know, I would not want to buy like a used block. It is still it is still chances that you take in go on a used route. Now, where you can find yourself a 6.4 Hemi engine block, I think most performance, HHP, high horse performance, I think MMX also have it. Now you could get yourself a brand new block, just the block itself, brand new. They built these blocks to where I think it's a fully forged. It is a fully forged BGE block, and I think it's a long block. Also, the block is like the main part of this, like the main thing you need. You buy yourself that. They built those blocks to where it could be able to handle 1,000 to the wheels. You buy yourself the block itself. Now you got one of the main thing you will need to be able to achieve that. Second thing I would say, you have to get, if depending on your Ram or whatever, your Ram, if you got a single cab, crew cab, and then another thing you got to think about that comes into play is, do your truck has an 8-speed transmission or it has a 6-speed? If you got an 8-speed transmission, that's good for you, because All you have to do is just get your trans rebuilt, get it rebuilt, and then obviously probably gonna have to run a higher stall converter also with doing this. The second biggest thing would be getting your trans rebuilt to be able to handle that much power. You could attempt to try with your stock transmission and stuff, 8-speed trans, gonna hold for a while, but probably I wouldn't take that chance. If I'm spending things like this, you want to do the right way. I'm just telling you, you still could do whatever you want to do at the end of the day, but I'm saying if you're doing something like this, it has to be done the right way. You can't take no shortcuts and stuff because it's going to cost you. If you're spending this much money, it's going to cost you later on down the line, and you end up doing something that's, you end up cheaping out on something like a transmission, then your trans end up going on you. So you need yourself a 6.4 block. You can get the block from like I mentioned, Mo's Performance, MMX, HHP. Get the block itself. Also, you can get heads and stuff from there too. And then also transmission got to get rebuilt. Wherever place you can find that rebuilt trans to be able to handle 1,000 to the wheels, shouldn't be something that's complicated for you to do. All you got to do is drop the trans, ship it out to whoever that's going to be rebuilding it. Once you do that, that will be a second biggest thing. Now, the third biggest thing I would say, this does require, I would say this really is like a 3-step thing for like what you really, all the other little stuff I haven't mentioned yet. I'm going to mention those, but I have not mentioned those yet. So third thing, this is like the biggest part. I feel like this is like the main part of everything. Without this not going to work. I mean, it really won't work. Your truck not going to, function and stuff like that. So third thing is going to be, you have to get yourself a custom cam. Custom cam is what like going to be able to have the truck running right, starting up, making sure your transmission, your engine, everything is up to whatever temperature. Everything is running as it should be running, because this is a swap you're doing. And then also, last but not least, if you got, I know my truck is a 2014. If you got anything over 2014 plus, I think you have to do something like this. You have to get your PCM unlocked. 2014, I don't have to get that with my truck. I don't have to do none of that. But that would be something that's really like up to, depending on the year of your truck. Those are the three things, right? The 4 things I would say that you really, really need to be able to achieve that. Once you have those 4 things, now the mods is really up to you. You have a block that's already made to be able to handle 1,000 to the wheels. Now, this is an extra thing if you could do, but I feel like doing this is going to really just put you up there too, but it's going to cost a lot of money though. You decide if you want to do a supercharger or if you don't. Me personally, I would say a Whipple supercharger would be like kind of like the icing to the cake, where you're going to make stupid power. Like, you're going to make some good power with something like this. Gonna make some good power. Now, adding all of this like you trying to make that much power, there are some things that I do want to mention that you will also need doing this. You have to upgrade your gears. You have to make sure your your rear end is beefed up to where your shocks and all that stuff can be able to handle that much power. If you plan on racing and stuff, which is not like a huge problem, because you could easily be able to do all of those things. But I'm just saying, like, the 4 main things that you really need, like, you can't really achieve that without going with a bigger size block. To, like, honestly, a bigger size block, it don't really require much once you have that 6.4 Hemi block already in your truck, tuned up, right? Everything tuned up. And then you start doing like the little add-ons, bigger size injectors. You want to do camshaft, exhaust headers. What else? Any other little stuff really, like them things is gonna add a couple more power to your truck. But the main thing is just the heart of the truck, which is the engine itself. Obviously the transmission too is important too, and then your torque converter, all that stuff also is important. But the custom tune you get is what's gonna spice everything up. Make sure you have your truck running right. And it's really, once you have the tune is what really gonna get you there. Like, it's not really rocket science, it's not really rocket science and stuff. Adding the tune and then adding, you know, a supercharger to a supercharger is gonna make things even more spiced up. But doing all of this stuff is not something that's cheap. You know, the block itself, I forgot to mention, for you to be able to buy a block like that is like $7 grand. I think no, it's not like, I think $6 grand, six, 6, 7 out the door. You're gonna be right now. It's listed for like 5,999, which is $6 grand out the door. You're gonna be playing, depending on where you're at, it's gonna be like 1,000 plus with other stuff on there. So around $7 grand. I think it make more sense though. It's like very, it's not to me. This is like the best way for you to do it. It's expensive, but it's not like crazy expensive. It's definitely doable though. You can do it compared to you if you was trying to do like a Hellcat swap, or let's say going somewhere for them to do something like that, like shipping your car out to a place where they strictly will be able to do that for you. It's gonna be like way over 20, 30, like 20, you're looking at 20, 30 grand. And I have reached out before to a couple places before in the past, and they was talking 20, 30 grand. Crazy thing is, you're gonna spend maybe somewhere 15, close to like 20, maybe, depending too. Like the most expensive things are the engine itself, the heads, and then what else? If you got the transmission in your car, but you don't have to buy a new trans, but you do got to rebuild it, which is going to be somewhere around $4 grand. So you're spending somewhere around close to like 15, which is not that bad though. Now, depending too on where you go to get it installed, all that stuff do come in handy. But this is really how you can really be able to achieve 1,000 to the wheels with these trucks. And now, obviously, once everything is said and done, you can do some weight reduction. If you got a crew cab, quad cab, you can take the seats, do all that stuff. You'll definitely be able to hit that though. It's not really rocket science. There's trucks. There's a Ram right now on YouTube, like my truck. I watch his channel also. He's making somewhere around there. I think somewhere around there. His truck is pretty fast, but it's definitely doable though. This I think this is the right way that you could be able to do this. But enough of me yapping on. But make sure you guys definitely subscribe to the channel, follow the build. I would appreciate it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.